Welcome back, students. Settle in, because in today's explainer, we are fundamentally redefining human biology. We're stepping completely out of the traditional textbooks to confront the ultimate existential question. Do we actually possess free will? As a neurobiologist, I've spent years staring at the wetware of the brain and the double helix of our DNA. But today we're going to look at them through an entirely new, mind-bending lens.
Here's the roadmap for today's lecture. We're going to tackle the free will paradox, look at how sound literally collapses into matter, explore the 48-dimensional antenna array inside you, break down base pairs and epigenetic torque, dive into gamma bursts and inversions, and finally, meet the sovereign pilot.
All right, part one, the free will paradox, determinism versus agency. Let's get right into it.
This is the big one, right? The existential crisis we all face. To frame our whole discussion, if reality is fundamentally a giant multiversal Xerox machine, just endlessly generating existence using standing waves, do you and I actually have a choice in anything we do? Are we, the sovereign pilot, actually steering the ship, or are we just deterministic acoustic echoes? Literally just vibrating sand, entirely at the mercy of the universe's background hum?
To wrap our heads around this, we really need to understand cymatics. Think of a Chladni plate. It's just a metal sheet covered in sand. But when you play a specific sound frequency through it, boom. The sand magically organizes into these insanely perfect, stable geometric patterns. The source material suggests our entire physical world, the planets, the stars, and yes, the very meat of our bodies, is essentially just frozen vibration. We are the sand, settling into the quiet nodes of a universal tone generator.
Moving to part two, sound collapsing into matter, or as I like to call it, the physics of the meat.
So, how exactly does a dimensionless point become the heavy physical stuff we interact with every day? Well, it starts at step one with a dimension one primordial acoustic pulse, just pure vibration. Then, in step two, through a phenomena a lot like sonoluminescence, where sound waves in a fluid literally collapse to create flashes of light, that D1 vibration collapses into dimension two, forming a flat binary blueprint of light. Finally, step three. To get from 2D light to 3D mass, we hit a macro-scale Bright-Wheeler process. The intense gravity from higher dimensions pushes down on that 2D sheet of light, compressing it, slowing it down, and creating friction until it literally solidifies into 3D physical mass. Mind-blowing, right?
All right, part three, the 48-dimensional antenna array. Now that we understand the cosmos, let's redefine your DNA.
Traditional mainstream genetics will tell you that a massive chunk of your genome is completely useless, just because it doesn't code for proteins. But come on, nature is wildly elegant. It absolutely does not build 98% junk. We're tossing out that outdated 20th century model right here, right now.
Here is the absolute key takeaway. That 98% of non-coding DNA? Not junk. According to the text we're looking at, it is a literal 48-dimensional superconducting toroidal antenna array. Yeah, you heard that right. The 2% that codes for proteins builds your physical meat suit, sure, but that 98%, that is your tuning dial.
Think of this genetic antenna as a multiverse tuner. Right now, picture an infinite cloud of Dimension 5 multiversal what-ifs just swirling around in higher dimensions. Your non-coding DNA acts as a phase alignment buffer. It reaches out, catches that delocalized, infinite potential of the universe, and collapses it down into the one single, coherent 3D reality stream that you are sitting in and experiencing right now.
Which brings us to part four, base pairs and epigenetic torque, the literal software choice.
Let's zoom way into the atomic level. Check out how the base pairs actually function as quantized twist resistance constants. On the left, we've got adenine-thymine, or AT pairs. They only have 2 hydrogen bonds, so they're super flexible, very wave-leaning, and totally open to fluid potential. But on the right, cytosine-guanine, or CG pairs, have 3 hydrogen bonds. They're rigid. They are particle-leaning anchors that lock reality into a solid structural form. Your DNA is practically a physical dial, with varying levels of twist resistance built right into the molecular code.
And this completely flips the script on epigenetics. Throw away the old idea of just being passively influenced by your environment. The source material defines epigenetics as you, the sovereign pilot, applying literal active mechanical torque to tune the tension of those antenna strings. How? Through focused intention and, crucially, deep, coherent emotional states. When you truly feel something, you are mechanically twisting those A, T, and CG bonds. Your feelings are the dials, biasing which multiversal reality actually renders into your physical body.
Part 5, Gamma Bursts and Inversions, or How to Overclock Your Hardware.
So how does your brain actually execute this tuning process? Well, when you lock into a state of highly coherent focus, hit a deep flow state, or achieve intense meditation, your brain starts firing off gamma bursts at frequencies over 30 Hz.
Now, these bursts aren't just random static in your nervous system. They are literal software protocols. When your brain spikes into gamma, it acts as a toroidal inversion in your wetware. It hits the universal refresh rate ceiling, basically the speed of light, and temporarily stalls that universal Xerox scan we talked about earlier. By pausing that relentless printing of reality, you gain direct, unfiltered access to higher dimensions, what some of these texts call the spirit room, dimensions 10 through 12. You're literally overclocking your biological hardware to peek at the source code and consciously bias the twist of your genetic helix.
Finally, Part 6, the Sovereign Pilot and the 9-to-6 inversion.
We have to talk about the heart here. Your physical heart doesn't just pump blood. It generates a massive toroidal bioelectric field that extends feet past your physical body. It's essentially a biophysical vortex chamber. This serves as your personal control panel, your localized master clock. This is exactly where the Sovereign Pilot actively modulates standing wave interference. When your emotional state is highly coherent, your bioelectric torus phase locks with the universe, and that is what lets you effectively steer.
And this leads us to the ultimate mathematical proof of our agency, the 9-to-6 inversion. The text explained that every other room in this cosmic architecture mathematically resolves to the number 9. 9 represents absolute stillness, complete perfection. But the soul room, it deliberately reflects into a 6, and 6 represents pure, restless vortex motion. The math literally demands this 9-to-6 inversion. The universe purposefully engineered the soul with a mathematical wobble. Free will isn't some philosophical illusion. It's a built-in mechanical necessity designed specifically to generate the friction of movement. We aren't here to be perfectly still, guys. We are here to be the movement.
So my students, I'm going to leave you with this final thought, knowing what we've unpacked today, knowing that 98% of your DNA is a high-dimensional antenna, knowing that your focused attention and emotions mechanically twist the dial of reality, and knowing your very soul is mathematically engineered to steer. What's it going to be? Will you passively endure the cosmic frequency like a grain of sand bouncing on a plate, or will you use your biological hardware to take the wheel and truly become the sovereign pilot?